table apart. 10 seconds. No. You know, I'm not really allowed to fix the washer anymore. Yeah. I remember once I thought, I'm going to surprise Holly. I'm going to fix the washer before she gets home. Or was it more trying to keep myself out of trouble? I don't know. But I decided I'd fix the washer. Because you know how you have those little baby socks? And you get that little mesh thing, you put the baby socks in, you zip it up, put the not the dishwasher. That's another story. So somehow one of those little itty bitty socks ended up getting into the filter somewhere, and I thought, well, I'll just take it apart and get it out. No problem. Well, I learned that you're supposed to empty the washer first, right? Because otherwise it empties on the floor. And so, yeah, it was a mess. And then I called a professional and he fixed it with his tools. I was like, oh, where'd you get those tools? Same place. But we learned that the tools don't make the man, right? Anyhow. Today, we're gonna celebrate fathers. And I've got a word for fathers and for families. And there's something I really feel God laid on my heart to bring this morning. And there's all sorts of different kinds of fathers, right? There's fathers who were like Abraham. A father who left a legacy. He was definitely not a perfect man. You read his story. I mean, he sold his wife twice away. And once said she was his sister. Abraham, right? No, he wasn't ready to have kids till he was 100. So we know that his process of maturing in faith was maybe a little longer than others. But there's also father-in-laws, like Jethro, right? How do you speak into your son-in-law's life in a way that he'll hear? He came humbly. He let Moses do his own thing. And then afterwards, he came in an attitude of love. I mean, Jethro was a smart guy, right? He didn't just go, Moses, you're an idiot. What are you doing? All these people. No, he said, you're going to burn out. I can see that. I've got to wait. And he came alongside him. And being parents of adult children is a different kind of thing altogether. And how do you have wisdom in that? Then there's Mordecai. Mordecai was an uncle to Esther, but really he was more like a stepfather. He was someone who stepped into place. The father wasn't there, and he stepped into place. There's also Paul, who was a spiritual father. He led many people to Christ. The book of Philemon. I'm gonna tear that apart for you someday, because when you find out you can get Paul's personality in that book. Oh man, that guy lays it on thick. Onesimus, he's like a son to me. You wouldn't hurt my son, would you? Oh man, we'll go through that sometime. But anyways, he's like a spiritual father, right? And then you have Jacob, Israel, same guy, different name. He blessed his grandchildren, right? He blessed his grandchildren, Manasseh and Ephraim. So there's different kinds of fathers. There's different kind of roles that we get to take. Grandparents, grandfathers, we don't get off easy. Deuteronomy 4:9 says, only take care and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your children's children. Grandparents, you know what? Grandfathers, we still have a responsibility to live for God. Our grandkids are still looking up to us. I know, I've heard many stories. That's the grandparents that take the kids to Sunday school. Praise the Lord. Sometimes your kids end up in a situation and they don't want to be in church. It's embarrassing. They don't want people asking questions. Right? And the grandparents can stick in and stand in with the parents' blessing. And we can't forget that God is a God to the fatherless. I mean, your dad can be home, but he doesn't have to be present. You know what I mean? You could have a birth dad, but no one in your life. And God promises to be a father to the fatherless. This is not a new problem. So today we're going to ask, what's in your toolshed? What is in the toolshed that God has for you? And we're going to compare some of these tools here, and we're going to ask ourselves, how does this relate to us as God wants us to be dads, as God wants us to be fathers? So every dad here, you got a different tool, And there was nothing planned, so when I talk about the screwdriver and you get a screwdriver, I'm not talking about you. Of course, God might be piercing your heart on something, and that's fine. But today we're going to look at these tools and we're going to compare them to fatherhood. So we're going to start with a screwdriver. Yes, we've got different kinds of screwdrivers. You have your multi-bits, you have your Phillips, or the star-shaped ones, or your standard, which is, I think Alan Legier made us all afraid of the screwdriver. But these are tools. They're used. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody is working under a car and they're working something and they say, pass me the screwdriver, pass me the screwdriver. Or they're up on a ladder and they want you to pass them a screwdriver, and you're looking through the tool bag and you're like, okay, I got Phillips, and I've got the squared head, and I've got the flat chisel, and the one screwdriver you can't find is the one you need. You ever have that happen? Yeah. And they're like, get me the screwdriver, and you feel, Well, dads, we have to be present. We know somewhere in the house is that one screwdriver that we're looking for to fix the problem, but where is it? We know it's in the house. Dads, we have to be available. There are many situations where our family needs us. Charles Francis Adams, a 19th century political figure and diplomat, kept a diary. And one day he entered, went fishing with my son today. A day wasted. His son, Brooke Adams, also kept a diary, which is still in existence. On the same day, Brooke Adams made this entry. Went fishing with my father. The most wonderful day of my life. The father thought he was wasting his time while fishing with his son, but his son saw it as an investment of time. The only way to tell the difference between wasting and investing is to know one's ultimate purpose in life and to judge accordingly. Now, let's get this straight. Naps are not from the devil, okay? Dads, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're working hard, yeah, you need to rest. You don't want to be cranky with your kids, right? But being a dad is hard work. It means that when it is, how do you want to put it, inconvenient, or when you're tired, or, I thought, I've done 12 years of post-secondary school. Sometimes my daughter wants help with a French project. I'm like, but I'm done school. Or she asks me something with math, and I'm like, I was never very good at math. And it's very humiliating to admit that, my daughter's probably better at math than I am. So you try and help, and you're making things worse. But, you make yourself available to the best of your ability, especially when it's inconvenient. That's when it matters. That's putting the sharp object here. That's when it's important. There's things that you're going to do for your kids that they may not even be thankful for until their parents, when they can realize. My dad used to take me to hockey practice. Any hockey parents here? Yeah, you're up early and you're dragging your kids to the cold rinks. I never realized that you had to sit down on those cold rinks while I'm out, breaking a sweat and stuff. I never realized how much I had to be thankful for. Right? I didn't realize how. I'm sure the parents are proud, but man, those rinks are cold, right? And nothing I love better than getting a mini sip afterwards. Stick in, and just try it. But who provided the money for that? Who provided those mini sips, And even coming home from church, we went to Uplands Baptist, and we were coming home from church. There's 2 ways to go home. Oh man, we'd go, Dad, can we stop at McDonald's? Mom likes fries. Right? Play it on the thing. We know if we turned left, we weren't going to McDonald's, but we knew if we were going straight, we'd go to McDonald's and we'd cheer, yeah! But, those are things, my dad, I didn't realize, he paid for my comic collection. And I didn't even realize, there's a few comic collectors here, and my dad paid, and I never even thought anything about it. I'd have comics that came in every month, and my dad would come pay the bill, and I never realized the investments he was making in my life. He wasn't the most talkative man, but he invested in me in ways that were important to me. My mom would play on our ColecoVision. She'd play the Smurfs game, and we would laugh My dad didn't play video games with us, but he played baseball. He played 500. You know, he played games. I'm sure he worked his butt off. I'm sure he was tired, but he still made time for us. Let's look at this fella here. So that was the screwdriver. Ouch, I just cut myself. You can turn it on. Oh, seriously, leave. That's crazy. So the screwdriver was be present. You're probably thinking, who gave Andrew the power? He already cut himself. I just thought I'd get up. Anyways, I'm going to give you a second. Get a Kleenex. If I faint, you know. If anyone faints at the sight of blood, it's like coming up with good. Anyways, that's part of my skin condition. Like I got weak skin on my fingers. Anyhow, not enough calluses. Well, with power tools, you know what most kids want to know, especially little boys? They want to know. Should have been a dad. You know, you missed it, guys. Gotta take care of the pastor. Guys want to know, little boys want to know, are they big enough? Are they ready to handle the power tools? Now, maybe not the bandsaw, but I managed to put myself in this anyways. Don't even understand how that happens, but that's all right. But little boys need someone to show them that they've got what it takes. They need to know how strong they are. They want to know if they're strong enough to wrestle with Dad. Can they take Dad down yet? You know, they want to know. I can still remember, and it's so important for your identity. I knew I was fast. Not Josh fast, but I was fast. I was really fast. And the only way I knew I was fast, I thought I was fast, but when I knew I was fast, I was racing on the beach. And I wanted to catch up to my dad, so I'm just hustling. And then my dad speeds up to show me who's faster. Well, then I crank into overdrive, and I just zoom right past him. And his face was like, he passed me. He couldn't believe. My dad was, you know, some of you guys know, he was an athlete. He played basketball. He was a long-distance runner. He could run. But I think I was like 10 or 12, and I just right past him. And it gave me confidence in that arena. And so when I did a little bit of track and field in high school, I didn't do too much. I didn't train, but I was almost as fast as some of the guys who trained regularly. And I surprised them at different times, and they didn't like it. But we won't go into that. It's a whole different story for a different day. But when kids know that their dad has told them, or the dad has showed them that they've got what it takes, it sticks with them. Otherwise, you're left unsure. Otherwise, you're looking for tests from other people, maybe from other men, maybe from other situations. Maybe you're looking to see, am I good enough? Am I strong enough? Can I handle this thing? There are certain areas in my life where I didn't know. You know, I didn't know. This is going to sound dumb. Ralph will laugh at me for this. I didn't know if I was worthy to drive an 8-cylinder car. I thought 6 cylinders okay for me. And then I'll never forget, my friend wanted to trade my motorbike for his Camaro. That was not a hard decision to make. So I ended up with a 305 Chevy Camaro. And then I realized something very important. A 4-cylinder K car is as bad on gas as a 305 8-cylinder car. And I was like, great! I never went back. But it was some of those things that a dad needs to show their little boy that they're good enough, they're strong enough, they're smart enough, they're wise enough, and they spend enough time with them to encourage them in that. I was thinking Gideon. You know, the angel of the Lord came to Gideon and said, mighty warrior, you're going to free your people. And Gideon's like, what? No. Gideon's response is, pardon me, my Lord. Sounds like Moses. Hold on there. How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. Where did that come from? You know, dads, we have the power to bless and to curse our children. I I think one of the most common things I hear God tell me as a dad is just, Andrew, just shut up for a second. I hate to be rude, but that's, I honestly feel like I hear him tell me, I'm about to say something, and God's like, shh. Right? Like sometimes you want to use this example before, you want to call the kids for supper, and they haven't come yet. And you're just about to say something, and God says, Andrew, shh. Sometimes I listen. When I do, I'm glad. And sometimes I don't. They can attest to that. But like, when I listen to him, I realize that I'm taking care of my children. I'm investing in them in a different way. John Eldridge writes from the book Wild at Heart. He talks about this whole principle of dads letting boys know they're good enough, that they're strong enough. I tell Caleb all the time, I said, how'd you get so handsome? What did you do? There's also utility knives. Funny, I didn't cut myself with this one. I think I'll leave it in the wrapper. Let's get dangerous. No, I'm just kidding. There's staples in there. So what? I worked at Sobeys for 6 years, and one of the things I did at Sobeys, we worked in grocery department, and you'd always use these fancy utility knives when you slicing open boxes, getting rid of the tape. And one of my favorite things was the 8 packs of 2 liters of pop, and you just right across the top of the plastic and rip it open. Now, if you did it wrong, and you snicked just a little bit of the pop is under pressure, and it just starts to spray. Right? And so this one time, you can cut around the bottom of the box and just lift the whole plastic up, and I was going pretty quick, and I got too deep, and all of a sudden you hear the, and you knew that there's 2 or 3, you didn't know which ones, so you just take the whole thing, hug it against yourself, run down the aisle, into the back sink, throw them all in, and meanwhile you're covered in pop. Makes it look like, you spilt your lunch all over yourself. But there are things, and as a dad, we need to not only be present and let our children know they're good enough, but sometimes we need to use a knife to cut away things, to protect our children. Sometimes in our tool shed, things move in, cute little critters. They're attractive and they're cute and fuzzy, but man, they can make a mess. And there's 2 things I would say for little girls, or for girls who are teenagers, or for women who are adults who are your daughters. You cannot tell them enough how beautiful they are. You cannot tell them enough that God wove you together to be the person you are, but to grow in character, of course. Not to wallow in sin, but to grow in godly character. But the fact that God specifically designed you to be attractive to whoever God has intentions for you, and to trust God in that arena, and not to buy in to what the world is saying, the world's standards. There's something beautiful about a godly woman of character. There's guys that will want to date girls that meet the standards, but you know what? It's not the kind of girl they want to marry. It's not the kind of person they want to be with for the rest of their life. Maybe to have fun with. But we need to teach our daughters to be worthy of a good man. In fact, to make men desire to become even better, to be worthy of her. For her to not drop her standards thinking, there's going to be no one worthy. I need to drop down to their levels. No, in fact, for your family's sake, you need to be a woman of character. But how do we teach them that? How do we show them that? Well, men, how we treat our wives. For the example, buying her flowers at least once a year, other than the important days. Loving her through acts of service, putting her first, complimenting your wife in front of your daughter. Saying things like, wow, you're as pretty as your mom. Those kind of things. I don't know if I've ever said that or not, so. Definitely, you're as pretty as your mom. Practicing what I preach. I think men, one of the biggest struggles today, and this is something I didn't want to get into, but I'm going to go there because, I had a very vivid dream the other day, and I wanted to ignore it, and then I got a new phone, And well, when I have new software, when I get a new phone, I always put something on my phone called X3 Watch. And it's accountability software. And it makes sure that my accountability partners know where I'm going online, what I'm doing. It's on all my phones. I've got a couple. One doesn't work, or it's still on there. On my office computer, on my computer at home, on my tablets, on everything I have. And the person who is my accountability partner is my former senior pastor. I have found this gentleman. The only way accountability works is if it's somebody that you care about who knows what you've been up to. And then you know it'll bring down the thunder. And so this man is like a dad to me. He's a mentor. He's a friend. But he's in a position in my life where he can keep me accountable. Because men, we need something I call Holly vision. You guys don't need to have Holly vision. I need to have Holly vision. Holly needs to be in front of my mind. Right? And guys, you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of crap on here. You type in Mickey Mouse and crap will come up on here. Right? Therefore, we need help, guys. We can't do it alone. Nobody's too young here, okay? Talk about pornography for a minute, okay? This stuff is crazy. It's everywhere. If you're a young man, a young woman, you've probably seen it. You've probably been exposed to it. If you're not addicted to it, praise the Lord. Don't play with it. Here's why. This is some stats from Covenant Eyes. It's an accountability software. I prefer X3 Watch because it's free. It's cheap that way. 68% of divorce cases involve one party meeting a new lover over the internet. Okay? 56% of divorce cases involve one party having an obsessive interest in pornographic websites. Those aren't the only things that cause divorce, but part of it, right? Their minds are wandering. 24%, that's 1 in 4, smartphone owners admit to having pornographic material on their mobile handsets. These are new stats as of 2014. This isn't old, this is brand new. 50% of all Christian men and 20% of all Christian women say they are addicted to pornography. 75% of pastors do not make themselves accountable to anyone for their internet use. Yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm the other 25%. And here's probably, people say, well, it's harmless, right? Some doctors will even tell people it's good for your sex life if you're married. Right? Well, I don't agree with that. In fact, it's Dr. Marie Ann Layton. She says, and this is a short excerpt because it's probably the most important part of the whole thing. She says, I have also seen in my clinical experience that pornography damages the sexual performance of the viewers. That should be enough said right there for any man. Pornography is prevalent everywhere. Even in advertisements. I mean, look at American Eagle bags sometimes, right? I love the product, but man, sometimes there's like these half-naked guys with like these chiseled abs, like maybe girls don't work the same way, but how does that make you feel as a guy? Like, I've got a six-pack in the back of the fridge, mind you. But statistics tell us that 1 in 8 online searches is for pornography. And because porn use thrives in secrecy, many church members are trapped in a cycle of sin and shame, thinking that they're the only ones facing this temptation. You know what, guys? These are professionals who are trying to make money at the expense of your family. And they're traps designed to ensnare us. There's not a man above it. Because men, listen, frank, we're turned on by sight. This is geared right for us. If you don't have yourself protected, man, you're vulnerable. I think it's imperative that we either use the exact knife in our lives to cut ourselves away from that. To use the tools that God's given, and it's a back door. We need to screw down that back door and make sure we don't play with it. If you are a guy here and you want to talk in private about this stuff, I'm all ears. You will not hear it in judgment from me. But yet, you know what, guys? We need accountability. We need to be together in this stuff. This is, it's not just sin. It will cost you everything. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. James 1:13-15 says, when tempted, no one should say, God has tempted me, for God cannot be tempted by evil. Nor does he tempt anyone, but each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. That's all Satan does. He entices. Hey, come on over here. Come on over here. Then, after the desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. I've seen it in congregations where it seems like a harvester comes in and there's a slew of divorces. I pray to God that does not happen here. And if I can support you in your marriages in any which way, form, or shape, there will never be any judgment from me. I will come alongside you and walk with you and work with you. They say it's almost a 90-day process to break yourself free from pornography. So it's not a quick fix. Right? So I'm willing to walk with anyone in that. I notice that there's a pattern here. And maybe you're skimming towards death and you don't know how to stop the train. Because sin, it says, when it comes to its full grown, which means there's a period of growth. There's a time of festering. There's a time of like, oh God, help me, I don't even know how to stop. That's when we come together. We can stop the train together. Or we can just jump off the train. Whatever. God will be your strength and He will be your help. You know, I can look around and say, look at the statistics and say, hey, you know what? I'm not the only one who needs to have accountability partners. I'm not the only one who this stuff is designed to entice. Of course it is. You got red blood flowing through your veins. The enemy's not stupid. He takes a beautiful and good thing and wants to pervert it. Ephesians has this passage, and it deals with the hardest things for everybody. It says, slaves, obey your masters. Wives, submit to your husbands. That's a sermon in and of itself. But it says, husbands, love your wives. You know, guys, we can get so caught up in other things. It doesn't just have to be pornography. We can get caught up in our toys. We can get caught up in our sports. We can get caught up in so many other things that it's our children who are left waiting for dad. Billy Graham says that the greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money, but it'd be nice. Mom, dad, watching. Or other material things accumulated in one's life, but rather a legacy of character and faith. So our kids need to know that our faith is real. I don't want to say that faith works, but that there's a real relationship that has impact in my life. Another tool in our shed, I think it's important. I use this in a different sermon illustration, but a measuring tape. Dads, we need to teach our children to know how far away they are from God, how close they are to God, how close they are in their relationships. We need to teach our kids how to size up situations, to know, does this line up with the Word of God for my life? Because God, listen, young people, God has a plan for your life. And it's better than you could ever imagine. Eye has not seen or ear heard the things that God has planned for those who love Him. Man, I hold on to that scripture. And so far, I'm at 40, we're halfway. I can say I do not regret one little bit chasing after God instead of chasing after what the world has to offer. It seems like the world stuff's more fun for a little bit. It doesn't last. But what I found with things of God, last. You know, some parents are even so skilled as to be able to show their children how to do a budget. My kids, they're in a lock. We have to help and let our kids in on decisions. When we were buying our house here in St. John, we let Emily be involved. We wanted to let her know that, you know, this is how decisions are made. This is the process. She came to the bank with us. Like, that can be really intimidating stuff if you've never done it before. Yeah. Well, they say that coaches now have more influence than parents. that is spend more time with their kids. That tells me one of two things. Either one, parents, we need to all become coaches and volunteer and help, or we need to get more involved in our kids' lives. At the end of the day, like at the end of the sermon, there's a reward. I have found that there are truths in our life, parts of our testimony that we need to share with our kids. You know, I find the older I get, the older my dad gets, the more we share. And the more of these treasures that maybe when he was younger he didn't share, and he's sharing with them now, right? He's telling me about stuff that happened in the office and how they handle conflict there. Like, that happened at church. I'm like, whoa, so I had to handle that. So, like, you know, we're able to hear and understand and share. What are those sweet things that God has done in your life that you take for granted? Has your child even heard your testimony? Right? There's a time and place for those things. But what are the sweet things that God has done for you? And at the same time, one of the legacies that we leave as we invest in our kids, because it's hard work, there's a sweet relationship that builds. That when times are tough, they'll know they can trust you. That when your grandkids are born, you're welcome and included as grandparents. Because I'll tell you, I know situations where the grandparents are not welcome in the situation, and that is heartbreaking. And there's not a person here who wants to be in that situation. In closing, I just want to say, moms, if you're here, or spouses, if you're here, your husband's not here, and you want to bring them a chocolate bar, or you want to take a tool home with them, you're more than welcome to do that. Just let me know the door. I don't know if you're lying, Pastor. But in closing, I want to leave this thought with you. Are we being tools, or are we using them? Don't be a tool. Let's have a word.